What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm Tyler Tucker.
And we have got a very, very interesting episode of Down to the Wire in store for you guys today. We have got a lot of news to unpack here on the show today. And obviously, I got Tyler Tucker back in the studio, back in the Koffler Center. And Tyler, I wish it was on better terms, but we have got one really big breaking news topic to talk about today. If you want to lead things off, I'll let you get things started.
Yeah, I mean, let's address the elephant in the room. Xander Bogaerts is gone. I don't know where you stand. I don't know where the general public stands, but some people saw this coming. Some people didn't. But that's the reality of the situation, and we lost into the Padres on a massive deal.
Yeah, it really was a massive deal. I was getting ready to go to bed last night. It was, like 12:30 in the morning. I'm literally turning over to go to sleep, and I hear just a buzz on my phone, and I go, what is that? Is that like a LinkedIn notification? Is someone texting me right now? Like, what's going on at 12:30 in the morning that I got to be up right now? I had a final exam at 9:30 this morning, and I was like, oh boy, what's going on? And I turn over and I just see, boom, Xander Bogaerts, 11 years, $280 million to the San Diego Padres. And my jaw hit the freaking floor. I don't think I've ever been as stunned as I was last night when that broke. And I mean, Tyler, if you want to talk about things kind of being full circle, I think the first episode of Down to the Wire we ever did, we broke down the Mookie Betts deal and how insane it was at the time. That was 3 years ago. We were here in this very studio with Carter reacting to all this, and it shocked us at the time. And the understanding was that, all right, we're getting rid of this guy because we're in financial hell, and we're going to get out of it. Getting out of this, we're going to be able to sign Xander Bogaerts. We're going to be able to sign Rafael Devers and have like this great future building around those two guys. That now has not happened. Chaim Bloom, John Henry, Sam Kennedy, that entire organization has lied to us and are now are lowballing this guy. This guy stepped up and was our captain when Betts left. And you could say arguably before he left, he was the heart and soul of that clubhouse. And he was a big clubhouse guy. You could say Mookie Betts wanted to leave. I still have my doubts on that, but more and more people have started to make that narrative that, Mookie Betts wanted to get Mookie Betts wanted out. He wanted to explore the open market. Xander Bogaerts didn't necessarily want to do that. If you had given him a respectable offer last spring, this would not have happened.
No question.
You know the offer they gave him? 4 years, $90 million is what they gave him last spring. He made $190 million more. That is insane. Probably more than triple what he was originally given by the Red Sox. He got from the Padres. It's John Lester all over again. Remember back in the early parts of 2014, he was offered a 4-year, $70 million contract, and he more than doubled that with the Cubs. So I'm absolutely just stunned right now.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, from my perspective, I'm starting to just become accustomed to disappointment by this organization. And so, I mean, it hits hard.
Yeah.
It hits really hard for a guy who, played at least 130, 140 games every single season of his career besides his rookie season, and has just been an absolute solid shortstop for us that we really haven't had to worry about that position once since about 2014. And now just to see him walk once again, just because, let's be honest, the organization doesn't want to reach into their pockets. It's very disheartening.
No, it is. It's very disheartening. And I think that you make a good point. When Nomar Garciaparra was traded and left the Red Sox, shortstop became a revolving door of just any guy you can name. Mike Aviles, Marco Scutaro, Steven Drew, just different guys you were putting at that position. And it was like, all right, what's this thing really going to look like? And no one ever knew what the situation at shortstop was going to be. And then they ended up saying, all right, there's this kid in Pawtucket. His name's Xander Bogaerts. He's going to, really solidify that position. And he did for, close to a decade. And I remember when he made his debut against the Giants in 2013. And I was like, all right, this kid could be something. He has some potential here, and he showed flashes and helped us win that World Series in 2013. And then 5 years again in 2018. He has been an integral part of this ball club for so long now. And to see him go out the door like this is utterly disgusting. I think that you look at this team and the way that they have run their operation, I'm disgusted by it. I look at the team right now, and you want to take a look at John Henry, Heim Bloom, all those guys. I've been out on Heim Bloom from day one. You know me, Tyler. I like, if anyone can attest to this, I remember when we heard that we were getting this guy from Tampa, and I was like, I don't like that philosophy. And I know that people had their issues with Dave Dombrowski because he was spending money on guys and was, making stupid deals. Would you like Dave Dombrowski back now, Tyler? Yeah. I sure as hell would. I don't understand. I can understand why we fired him when we did, because we went from having one of the best seasons in Red Sox history to being a middling team in third place. We were dead last year. We were in last place in the AL East behind Baltimore. We were awful last year, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any better.
No, it doesn't look like, and granted, they are making some moves, but none of the splashes we need to actually make this team in a division where the Yankees just signed Aaron Judge to a massive 9-year deal.
Absolutely. And I think that you make some good points. We did make some moves yesterday. We'll get to those in a little bit, but I don't know. I look at this, and in my opinion now, Rafael Devers is gone. And in my opinion, I don't think that there is a world in which the Red Sox re-sign Rafael Devers. I could be wrong. I think that Rafael Devers could, if we offered him the contract similar to Austin Riley, which I believe was 5 years, like $180 million or something is what we had originally offered him. Now we might have to offer him a little more. But in my opinion now, the Red Sox could go to Rafael Devers and give him a fair offer or even an above average offer. And if I'm Rafael Devers, I'm going to look at that offer. I'm going to say, they're still lowballing me. I could go to the open market, because this is what the Red Sox have traditionally done. They have set themselves up with this precedent that, in my opinion, no matter what they go to Devers with, he's probably going to think he can make more in the open market, and he probably will.
He probably will be able to.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that the Red Sox should have matched the offer that the Padres did. I'm actually glad that they didn't do that, because that would have been an absurd deal. The Padres are paying Xander Bogaerts till he's 41 years old. Let's face it. He's not going to be playing shortstop at the end of that deal. He might not even be in the league at the end of that deal. He might be out at 38 years old, and he's just making money, in retirement. Who knows how this thing's really going to look? But the one thing I will say is that it's not the fact that they didn't make this deal like yesterday, and they didn't, match this deal or make an even bigger one. It's the fact that you could have gone to him in spring training. And I think the final offer that they had to him, before he departed for the Padres, I think it was 6 years, $160 million. I think that's what they had. And that was kind of like their final say. It was like, yeah, we'll pay you for this much, but we're not like doing what the Padres are doing, giving you an extra 5 years.
Yeah.
If they had gone to him in spring training and given him an offer like that, or a 7-year deal, I think he takes that deal. I think he does, because at the end of the day, he wanted to be here, but you disrespected him over and over again. And at the end of the day, eventually you just have to draw a line in the sand. You're like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to make the money I make. And he's a Scott Boras client. Scott Boras is always known for getting every single penny out of a team. And he got that from the Padres, and the Red Sox wouldn't budge.
Yeah, it's such a shame to see. And he just wanted to get paid. That's really what it all boils down to. He wanted to get paid his fair market value, and maybe he got paid a little more than that, but he got
paid a little more than that, Tyler. I think that's a fair thing to say. Yeah. And he goes to this Padres team, which is now absolutely loaded with talent. Still might finish behind the Dodgers, though. That's the thing, because they've just been a wagon for over a decade now. But I mean, you look at that lineup, it's probably going to send Tatis to the outfield now. And the outfield is going to look like Juan Soto in left, Trent Grisham in center, Tatis in right. And then, around the infield, it's going to be Machado at third, Bogaerts at short, Hwa-Sung Kim at second base. And then Jake Cronenworth is going to move over to first base. That's a stellar infield. That's
incredible.
That's an amazing infield.
The outfield too. I mean,
yeah, no, that's just an amazing infield and outfield. Like, you can't really get any better than that.
No.
Obviously, with the Padres being as small of a market team as they are, next year is their year. I believe Manny Machado can opt out after this year, and guys like Juan Soto are going to be up in a little bit too. And they're not going to be able to pay all those guys. And I think that they just see this next year as their window, and they're like, you know what, we're going to go for it.
Yeah. I think that's the key. I think that's what you have to do in the MLB now, and especially for these smaller market teams. With these larger market teams that could just buy everyone out, this is what they got to do. That's the strategy.
And this is the part that is really disheartening to me. You look at the Padres and what they have traditionally been. They have traditionally been what you would call a feeder team, where they develop these prospects, and like at the end of the day, they don't have enough money to pay them. And a team like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, like the Red Sox would go in and they would make those deals. I made an episode with Grayson Mortimer about maybe a month or two ago. It was called The Franchise Swap, and was talking about how the Red Sox and the Padres philosophies have completely flip-flopped. And I said this after the deadline when Soto went there. The Red Sox are now a feeder organization. We're feeding our prospects to these teams. We fed Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, and now we just fed Xander Bogaerts to the Padres. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And really the only one we got anything out of was Mookie Betts. We got Kike. That's really about all I can name.
We didn't get Kike in the Betts deal. We signed him as a free agent.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think I saw something. I believe I'd have to find the tweet, but basically it was about Chaim Bloom, and it said in his time here, he's turned Andrew Benintendi, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, and I forget, he mentioned a couple other guys, but it's like, yeah, we turned that into Alex Verdugo, Josh Winkowski, Jeter Downs, and it's like, oh God, Franchy Cordero. Like, it's been a complete nightmare. Obviously, I love Verdugo. I think he's a great guy, but for him being the centerpiece, like the big piece we got out of the Betts deal, we got absolutely fleeced. And in my opinion now, with Rafael Devers being up, and it's likely at this point, if they're not going to sign him, they have to trade him at this point. If they aren't willing to pony up the money, I'm hoping that they will, but just knowing how the Red Sox do this, they're probably going to do the same thing, make the same mistakes and lowball him again. If they're going to consider trading him, there's no way in hell I want Chaim Bloom in charge of this trade, because he will blow it again. We will get 5 middling prospects that we do not know anything about and are still struggling to get out of the minor leagues. Connor Wong is still struggling to get out of Worcester. He was down there for most of this year until we traded Christian Vazquez, who also, his departure made a major rift in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
And the way that we have been running this organization, I don't know why anyone would want to sign with us right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing. If we had an organization and you just see the way things are going, the way things are going with the Red Sox right now, why would anyone want to come and sign with us? Like, no, they're just going to say, oh, you treat your hometown players like crap. Why do you think why am I going to be treated any better? Sure. They have set the precedent now, and I would not want to sign with the Boston Red Sox. And I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah. I don't know. I totally agree. It's a shame to see, but at this point, like I said, we're coming to expect it. You know, this has been the moves they've made. They're getting rid of the people fans absolutely love, and I think they're not realizing how much destruction they're doing to a lot of important things in this operation.
It's a lot of destruction, Tyler. It's been really bad. I don't know. I saw all this kind of go down the way that it has, and I saw Mark DeRosa over on MLB Network. He made I got like this little quote from him, and it was the fact that Boston has the most chips, but they're choosing to play like Tampa. Chaim Bloom's the place Chaim Bloom came from. And listen, Tampa Bay, they have to play like this because they don't have any money. Like, they are in the middle of nowhere. They are basically the Oakland A's. They don't have the funds to go out and sign guys. They have to develop these homegrown talents, burn through them and then get the next guy. That's what they have to do. I could understand Chaim Bloom coming in here and trying to do a little bit of both, build up the farm system, get some good talent, and then have us compete and get some other guys too. But we haven't gone out and spent the money in free agency. We haven't put in that effort, and I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous at this point. I made a point last night. We got Marcelo Meyer, and I think that he could be a potentially, franchise caliber player for this team. But he's at least, I think, 3 years away at this point. We still don't know what he's going to be. And the only reason we were in contention to get him in the draft is because of how bad we were in 2020. Obviously, it was a COVID shortened season. You can make whatever you want of that. But we were so bad. We had one of our worst seasons in franchise history that we ended up with the 4th pick.
Yeah. That's incredible.
That shouldn't happen. The Red Sox, there shouldn't be bridge years in Boston. I think it was someone on Will Middlebrooks' show. It was actually someone pretty notable, but I can't think of it. It might have been Jeff Passan too. I forget. But their bridge years should not be a thing in Boston. They should not be tolerated. You should be competing for a World Series every single year. And obviously, that's not going to happen. You're going to fall short. Things are going to happen. That's expected. But for this to happen, this is on another level.
Yeah, to be a last place team as the Boston Red Sox organization, it's just unacceptable.
No.
And with how much money and revenue comes in from the fans and Fenway.
We pay the highest ticket prices in baseball.
Exactly.
I was listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub today. We pay football stadium prices sometimes to go see Red Sox games. It's ridiculous.
It makes no sense.
I mean, I'll go to like, I've been to different ballparks around the country. I've had that luxury, and I've seen like some of the ticket prices when we've gone to those games. And if you compare them to Fenway Park,
nothing.
It's nothing. It is nothing. Like you could sit like, like third base side at like the Baltimore Orioles for probably a third of what it costs at Fenway Park. It's insane. And I know that they don't have as many seats and they're selling you on the experience. But guess what? These other ballparks are pretty damn good too. And Fenway's obviously going to be number one, but these are the teams, like they're putting in that effort. And I look at this Red Sox team and I'm like, you want us to pay how much to go watch this third place to last place team? Like, if you're not going to be putting in the most effort every single year, I'm not going to spend money on you.
And that should be the opinion of fans all around, because that's the only way that they're going to see anything change. Because as long as, Henry's pockets keep getting filled, he's going to be hesitant to spend the money and just make the most profit he can without spending it as little as he can.
And that's the thing too. I do want to address that, because I know I put a lot of blame on Chaim Bloom. I've never been a Chaim Bloom guy, but I do want to say that this isn't all Chaim Bloom. Like, Chaim Bloom is in a very tough spot right now. I would say that, he is kind of being made the scapegoat of this. You could say rightfully so, whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, a lot of this falls on John Henry as well. He needs to come to his senses and actually realize that people are going to turn away from this team. When Mookie Betts was sent out the door, not a lot of fans were really invested in 2021. A lot of people forget that. Yeah. It wasn't until that wild card game against the Yankees where we had, that stellar performance and everyone showed out and we made that postseason run, to where that buzz around the Red Sox came back, that Red Sox nation, that passion, it came back. And it was like, all right, I think we might've survived Mookie Betts. This is going to be tough, because now you've done this twice within the past 3 years. You send Mookie Betts out the door, and Chaim Bloom went on the Section 10 podcast. I heard Tyler Milliken on 90 say this too. He went on the Section 10 podcast and he said, we had to do what we did with Mookie Betts, so we will never have to do it again with guys like Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. And guess what? They got caught with their pants down and they had no idea what they were doing.
100%.
I don't know. What else do you kind of have on this, Tyler? Just your thoughts overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the general air of disappointment. It's tough. These people you grow up with and watch your whole life, and I will say too, I was one of those people in that 2021 year where I wasn't watching the Red Sox. The first game I did watch was that game against the Yankees, because I was like, oh my God, Brock Holt's going to hit for the cycle.
They got something.
I got to see this, So it's very disappointing. I really hope that Boston fans really push for change in the organization, because I do not have a good feeling about this upcoming season.
No, I do not at all. I don't have a good feeling about the next couple, to be honest with you. No. Especially if Devers goes out the door, who do we have left to attract anyone here?
Exactly.
Like, we were able to push free agents to come here because we said, all right, we got Mookie Betts, we got Xander Bogaerts, we got Devers, we got all these great guys. Come and join us and let's build like a super team. That was the whole push of getting guys here. That's, I believe, how we got JD Martinez to really sign on here. He was, I believe, I forget where he was on the verge of going, but he was, I remember he was split between Boston and somewhere else, and he chose Boston, and he chose them, and he said, I want this deal. I want to be with you guys. And it was mainly because of the talent that we had on the field. If Devers goes, we do not have a single superstar on that roster.
Yeah. And then how do you make that justification to sign him too? Because, all right, you're going to give one guy a massive deal, but like, one guy can't carry a franchise anymore. You need 3 to 4 superstars to actually have a good team. And then think of it too, we still haven't necessarily really addressed pitching issues whatsoever. We have a lot of holes, a lot of places where we're falling apart. And now I think the argument is going to be made from the organization side that, you can just avoid spending money on Devers and try to just, fill it with a bunch of role players, not make that massive splash. And that'll be their reasoning to let him walk too.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I look at the way that this thing has gone and it's ridiculous. I don't know what's happening with the Instagram live there, but who cares? I don't know. I see the way that this is going, and listen, I don't have the money that John Henry has. He can do with his money what he pleases. Like, really, like, I mean, I don't have that type of money. I know that I will never have that type of money, but John Henry has that money. And when he signed on to be the owner of the Red Sox, that was the expectation. The expectation was you would come in here and you would go and you would compete and get the best free agents. And for 25 years, he did that. And frankly, John Henry is the best owner in the Red Sox's history in terms of success. You can't really argue with it, even if you want to talk about the Yankees and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He has the most success out of any owner. So I can understand where he's saying, all right, I've put so much money into this team. I've, exhausted so many assets. I have put, I've gotten 4 World Series championships, which I am so grateful for. I am so grateful for it. But there's also been a lot of reckless spending too, which has angered some Red Sox fans. We would go year to year with David Ortiz on a contract. This was something I heard again on 98.5 this morning. So I'm just like, taking some bits and pieces from them, but it was making some good points. So I was thinking about it, and it's just stuff that I'm, some recall. And it was the fact that David Ortiz and the Red Sox would just go year to year on a contract. We would never, I believe, sign him to anything more than a 2-year deal. Like, it was always, all right, we're just going to restructure at the end of the year, just add another year on, tack that. And that's how David Ortiz's contracts would just go with the Red Sox. We would do that with David Ortiz, Big Papi, but we would go out and we would shell money for Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez. We would show David Ortiz, one of the cornerstones of this franchise, number retired in right field. We would go year to year with him. But we needed Kung Fu Panda, to, really be locked down for this team.
What did he play? 60 games for the Red
Something
Sox?
like that. Yeah. I mean, his belt broke. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know. But I don't know. There's so many things that have gone wrong with this team. We've wronged so many people. And I just don't know how you fix this reputation to this point. And again, to get back to the Henry thing, if he wants to get out at this point, then by all means get out. I can understand it. You've done your due. You said that this was going to be like a 20-25 year thing. You've reached kind of close to the end of that. If you want to get out, by all means, the Red Sox fans will probably welcome it at this point and welcome someone in who's going to spend, that like Steve Cohen money, who's going to come in and really, try to get those superstars in here.
Henry should go all in on Liverpool. That's clearly what he wants to do anyway.
He wants to go, and he's trying to sell Liverpool. There is that whole thing. He's possibly trying to sell Liverpool. And I know that there's like talks about like an NBA expansion team, football teams. Maybe he's trying to buy the Commanders. I don't know what his plan is, but
shouldn't involve the Red Sox.
No, it shouldn't involve the Red Sox. The Red Sox, the name of your financial group is Fenway Sports Group. The team that plays in the Fens in Fenway Park should be your number one priority. If they are not, then by all means, get out.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my opinion. I respect John Henry for putting together the winning clubs that he has. But if he's done, then I am all good with seeing him leave at this point.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, all things run its course. We're seeing this with even maybe Belichick and the Patriots right now. But, it's when it's time, and I think it's time.
Yeah, I think it is time. And I think that, you look at the Red Sox and hopefully, I would say that hopefully this could be a learning lesson, but frankly, it never is. No. I mean, they made the same error with John Lester, and we had to trade him at the deadline to the A's. And it was like, oh, maybe he'll sign back with us in free agency. That never happens.
No.
The only time I can only think of when it happened is when Aroldis Chapman got dealt to the Cubs and signed back with the Yankees in free agency. Yeah. That's the only time I can ever think of that happening. But never does the superstar get dealt to the team and sign back with them. That doesn't happen in sports.
Look at Benintendi. He ended up on the Yankees.
Yeah.
One of the most disgusting sights I've ever seen in my life.
No, exactly. So it is a disgusting sight. And I don't know, man. I'm really broken up over this. This has been a tough, what is it, like 12 hours at this point? I'm like, oh my God, I lost some sleep over this. And yeah, I'm just trying to put it all together right now.
No, I'm right there with you. The news came out of nowhere. I was very shocked and disappointed, but once again, I've come to expect a bit of disappointment from the Red Sox. So
yeah. All right. Before we discuss some further MLB news, I want to say, if you're not falling down the wire at this point, what are y'all doing? We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those streaming platforms, as well as on YouTube. And you can catch all of our updates on at down.tothewire on Instagram, again at down.tothewire on the IG. And now getting back into things, Tyler, I want to talk about a team that actually, paid up for one of their hometown guys, the New York Yankees, giving that gargantuan contract to Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million. Just an absolutely absurd deal. And obviously, kind of at the 11th hour. A lot of people thought that Aaron Judge was going to be on his way to the San Francisco Giants. John Heyman had that now infamous arson Judge to the Giants tweet, thinking, he was going to be going there. Obviously, Heyman jumped the gun. He admitted it to himself. And now we have to see Aaron Judge back in a Yankee uniform for the next decade. And obviously, let's say this: Aaron Judge isn't going to be Aaron Judge for all 9 years, at least by normal standards. Maybe he's the next Tom Brady and he proves to be father time. But I think at his height, at his size, I think his back's going to go on him at some point. That's really, I think, what's going to do him in, maybe, 5-6 years into that contract. Those last 3-4 years are going to be rough on that deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the first 5 years you're going to see a true Aaron Judge, and towards the end of that deal, he's just going to be an overpaid DH at the back end.
I agree with that there. But the Yankees saw the value in Judge, and they said, all right, we really need this guy to, one, at least have some sort of a winning ball club, and two, sell tickets. So they said, all right, we're gonna overpay. We're gonna get this guy, which is what the Red Sox didn't do for Xander Bogaerts. And I think that, you look at Aaron Judge, similar to Bogaerts, he has that locker room presence. He has that thing where there's no real scandal about a Xander Bogaerts. There's no real scandal about an Aaron Judge. There's never any questions about his accountability. He's always just, a great team guy, a great person. And you can't really put that on a stat sheet.
For sure. And who's the vet in the locker room now? That's questions you got to answer. And the Yankees stepped up to the plate and answered that. I mean, Judge is their guy. He's going to be their franchise leader. So,
and I have to say this as a Red Sox fan, I hate saying all this stuff about Aaron Judge, but at the end of the day, he's a good person. Yeah, he's a good person. That's the thing. He's not A-Rod. He wasn't, one of those guys that you just go, oh, he's a jackass. I hate that guy. But he's a good person. That's the thing.
Yeah, and he had a monster season. He played incredibly well. Not so great in the postseason, but he earned this contract.
I mean, you want to talk about betting on yourself, Tyler. Aaron Judge, he got a deal. I forgot the exact numbers of the deal, but I remember how much more he made. He got a deal at the beginning of this year, and he said, "Nah, that's not enough for me. I think I can make more." And he goes out and he breaks the AL single season home run record by passing Roger Maris and hitting 62 home runs. And he makes $147 million more dollars than he would have. That's incredible. Insane. That's insane. He wanted that 9th year too. Originally, the Yankees were, dead set at giving him an 8th year. When the Giants came in and they ended up saying, "Oh, we're gonna, we want to give you this big deal." I think the Yankees said, "All right, we'll come in, we'll match the deal. And, if you'll come back here, we'd love to have you." And Aaron Judge said, "Sounds good to me."
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, listen, the Yankees, again, they have more money than the Red Sox. They always have. They always will. They are the New York Yankees. They are, that empire, that, gold mine, that, whatever you want to call them. They did step up to the plate, though, and they paid Aaron Judge. And whether that's going to hinder them in the future from making more moves down the line, we'll have to see. I think they have, over 3 players on that lineup now making over $300 million. So that's incredible. So they're making close to $1 billion between 3 guys. That's insane.
That's truly insane.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox can't even give one guy more than $100 million.
Meanwhile, we're playing Moneyball and becoming the Oakland A's. Yeah. Trying to split a Coke can between 6 guys. It's ridiculous.
It's the truth.
It's actually insane. But I don't know. I saw that happen. That was a crazy deal. And then another deal that was also very shocking as well. Something that had originally had Red Sox fans breathing a sigh of relief was Trey Turner going to the Philadelphia Phillies. He signed there on an 11-year, $300 million deal. And I originally thought that, that was going to be the destination for Xander Bogaerts, mainly because I thought Dave Dombrowski was really going to want to stick it to the Red Sox and poach one of their own superstars and bring him down to Philly as kind of a little revenge. And when Trey Turner signed there, I was like, okay, that's kind of a relief. And I'll say this about Trey Turner. I think Trey Turner is a fantastic player. I don't know if he's going to have the longevity that a guy like Xander Bogaerts does, even though he's younger than him. And this is why I think that, Trey Turner is great. I think that he's going to be great for, the majority of this contract. But I think size-wise, he doesn't really match up the same way that Xander Bogaerts does. I think that down the line, Xander Bogaerts has, the athletic ability to move to third base and move off shortstop if that's not really for him. I think he can move to second base potentially, or even later in his career, I think Xander Bogaerts could move to first base. For Trey Turner, it's going to be shortstop or second. And I just don't know if a 41-year-old, 40-year-old Trey Turner is going to be the guy that you're going to want to jog out there every day.
Well, that's the thing, too, with these massive contracts in baseball now. Everyone tends to forget 11 years is a long time. To expect 11 years of consistent performance out of one player, there's injuries. There's, outside things that happen. He could have a career-ending injury 4 or 5 years into this contract. So that's something you got to think about, too, and include. And you did mention he is younger than Bogaerts, which, does help in that fact. But once again, 11 years straight of consistent production is a lot to ask for from one player.
Yeah. I guess I did look it up. It says that Xander Bogaerts is actually an inch shorter than Trey Turner, but I don't know. I feel like he just plays a little bit bigger. And I think that he just has a little bit more range than Turner, in my opinion. That's just kind of the way I kind of that's kind of the little takeaway I have of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just, I don't know. It may not even be height, but I just think he's like a little bit bigger, and not like he's big
stature.
But it's just the fact that like he's probably built a little bit more. And I think that if he was to adapt to a first base, when he's 37, 38 years old, I think he could make that adjustment
for sure.
Kind of like a Hanley Ramirez, a little bit better than him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that could definitely work down the line. And I don't know. That's that was a crazy move as well. Another couple moves that really shocked me. I was actually down. It was following the Bryant University loss to Brown in basketball. I was down in the press conference getting ready for the Brown head coach to come through, and then as well as Jared Grosso, Bryant's head coach, to make his announcement about the game. And once Brown and their players had left, there was kind of a little break, just so that way the players and coaches could filter out and Grosso could filter in. And as that happened, everyone in the room, including all the news reporters, get the news that Jacob deGrom has signed a 5-year, $185 million deal with the Texas Rangers. And that was a wild deal. Obviously, the Rangers are in a very interesting spot. They're behind the Astros in that division, and it's going to be really tough for them to compete right now. But I look at that rotation and I see Jacob deGrom down there. If he can stay healthy, which is the big if, he pitches kind of on a little league schedule. That's how my grandfather used to refer to Clay Buchholz in that kind of a way, is that he pitches on a little league schedule. He's done by August. Like, that's typically how it goes.
Yeah.
If Jacob deGrom can stay healthy, they're going to have him, and they're also going to have Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker coming up in a couple of years. Those guys played at Vandy together. They were dynamic down there, and they have been stellar. Yeah. I think that could be a killer, three-headed monster in that rotation if, they get everything right.
Can't go wrong with those Vandy pitchers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are absolutely disgusting. They have been tearing it up in the minors, so I think they have a ton of potential to come to this Texas roster and really make things happen. Obviously, Texas spent a lot of money last year getting Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, and I think that maybe Texas might slowly be turning themselves into a little bit of the Padres here. Might have some more money might be getting freed up. Who knows? I mean, if they start to really, rattle off some moves here. I know they also signed Andrew Heaney to a contract. So, they seem to be building something down there, and it's interesting what they have in store.
Even the Texas Rangers are willing to spend.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Texas Rangers would be outbidding the Red Sox?
Yeah.
And the Padres too.
Yeah.
Like that's the crazy thing. So, DeGrom has left the Mets, and that was obviously the big story there. The Mets say, all right, we're going to, in his loss, we're going to go and we're going to get Justin Verlander on a 2-year deal, 2 years, $86 million. That was a crazy deal.
That's incredible. And his story too, to get to this point after retiring for a year, not really knowing where he stood, and then coming back and basically having a Cy Young performance.
No, he won the Cy Young.
Yeah. So it's truly incredible how he played.
I mean, he is an ageless wonder at this point. I remember back in, I think it was 2013, 2014, he was dealing with some injuries, and, was kind of getting into his, I think mid 30s at the time, or like mid to late 30s. And it was like, all right, is this kind of the end of Justin Verlander? Have we seen all we've seen from him? He's had a Hall of Fame. Everyone was saying at this point he could retire. He'd be a Hall of Fame pitcher. Like back in 2014, it could have been like, all right, yeah, Justin Verlander, Hall of Famer. 2017, Hall of Famer. Whatever you want to make of him. He gets shipped down to Houston and completely has revived his career.
Yeah.
He has gone back to being that ace that he was early on with the Tigers. He had I think it was a 1.37 ERA last year. Unreal.
Incredible.
Absolutely unreal. And, he dealt with that Tommy John surgery, like you said. he comes back. From what I can tell, it looks like the elbow is all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And he might have, another 4 or 5 years left in him. It's unreal. He might be able to rival a Nolan Ryan pitch until he's 46 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy fact about all this. Like, he is performing he's performing as if he was like, 15 years younger.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. And this deal is going to pay him until he's 42 years old.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Good for him, man. And, he's getting paired up with Max Scherzer in New York. Steve Cohen spending that money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great to see. And you have to ask yourself too, how much does Kate Upton play a role?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think it plays a role. I think there's definitely that media market in New York that I think she wanted to get back and tap into. Cause, for, all the years she's been dating him, it's been Detroit and Houston. Houston, you got a little bit of something there, but Detroit, you're in a wasteland.
There's nothing there.
No, there's not nothing anymore, unless you want to talk about like the 1950s. There hasn't been anything in Detroit in quite some time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that, maybe there's a factor in that, but I think that Justin Verlander, I think he literally just said, all right, I've won my World Series. He won 2 down in Houston. He said at this point, I want to chase the bag. I want to get some money. And he did. He got a great contract from them.
Yeah. And the Mets should be, once again, a formidable team. They just need to keep it together the whole season through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing that's tough, though, is the Mets make that move. And then right after the Trey Turner move happened, so it was like, you know what? The Mets, like, they're going to be back in it. They're pitching solid. They're going to be great. And the Phillies were like, nope, we're coming from the top rope and we are taking you guys down a peg. So I don't know. That was definitely a lot of, that was definitely pretty crazy. And
yeah, the moves have been incredible to this point.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of stuff going on there. Tyler, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Before we do go, though, I want to switch things over into NBA news real quick and talk about a team that has absolutely been lighting up the league. At least there's been some sort of a bright spot in Boston sports, and that is the Boston Celtics. They faced off against the Phoenix Suns last night and had an incredible performance. What was the final score of that game again? I got to find it. I mean,
it was a blowout.
Yeah,
it
was
at least.
What was the final score? I got to find this game. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 125-98. Yeah. I had to look that up again, because I knew they were up by like 45 at one point. Mm-hmm. So I had to turn it back on. I remembered the score once the game happened, but that was also when Xander Bogaerts got dealt. So a lot of things have been kind of fuzzy since then. But yeah, they won 125-98. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those guys are really looking good. I think Grant Williams also was, really solid in that game as well. This team is the best in the NBA right now. They have that matchup against the Warriors coming on Saturday, I believe it is. Yeah, it's coming Saturday at 8:30. Finals rematch. It's gonna be a great show.
Yeah, they have an incredible team, and Brown and Tatum are the best scoring duo in the league, statistically and just by eye test. Yeah. And they just have so much depth at every position. There's so much fun to watch. And I think we held Chris Paul in his return to about 4 points, 4 assists, and 4 boards. I think that was his stat line for the night. So
yeah, I can double check that for you.
It's truly incredible.
Yeah, if you want to, let me see real quick. Yeah, it was, I believe you are right. Yeah, 4 points and then 4 boards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done a great job locking down those guys. Spoiled his return. We've been looking really solid. And what's amazing about all this too is the fact that Rob Williams isn't even back yet. This team could get better.
Yeah,
which is awesome. So I think that right now we have a lot of potential. Right now, it's finals or bust at this point. We have to get back there and show this core that we have the ability to really take it to the next level.
For sure.
I think that something that's also really good is the fact that Jaylen Brown is really coming into his own as, not even just a great sidekick. He's now one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah.
He is becoming the 1A next to Tatum, because it was like, all right, yeah, it's going to be like, Tatum's the number 1. And then, Brown's like the number 2 guy, he's just going to be there. And not that he's just going to be there, but it was like there's going to be a discernible difference. Jaylen Brown is stepping up, and he's had some bigger games than Jason Tatum. Now I'm still going to take Tatum over Brown. When they're healthy. I know I made some comments about Jaylen Brown last year in the finals, and how he performed better than Tatum. Tatum was obviously hurt in those finals. But yeah, it's a great sign as to what this team can do, and I think that the way they're sharing the ball right now, making sure that those guys are getting the priority shots. I'm excited for this team.
Yeah, and that was the issue too last year when we were inconsistent towards the beginning. It was who's going to have a good night? Is it going to be Tatum? Is it going to be Brown? And now when they're having 25, 30 a night each. I mean, there's not much you can do to slow them down.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It definitely is a good sign. I mean, I also have been really impressed with the performance of Blake Griffin this year.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed him, and I was a little bit weary about him at first. I was like, all right, the Nets are letting him go. Like, what does this guy have left at this point? And he only had 9 points last night, but had 9 boards.
Yeah,
he
knows how to contribute. He knows how to play. He's really developed into a great role player. That's what he's become.
And that's the good thing too, is because a lot of superstar guys like that, they can have a ton of athleticism early on, be like that guy. And Blake Griffin was on the cover of 2K. He was basically one of the big faces of the NBA. And, as his athleticism has kind of gone down over the years, it was like, all right, what's this guy going to be? Is it going to be, is he going to still be trying to like hold on and want to be like one of those big faces? And, luckily for him, he was mature enough to realize, all right, I need to like find a team that I can really use what skills I do have and, make a difference. And he's done that.
Yeah. And on top of it too, to develop kind of more of a jump shot, be able to stretch the floor more. I mean, just that alone, just being scared of the fact that, he may not make it every time, but he can shoot that 3 ball. You have to step out on him. It's a whole new dynamic to the team.
Yeah, it's definitely a great sign. And, at least, Tyler, we have one team in Boston we can look forward to the future of.
Yeah.
Red Sox, not so much. Obviously, it was kind of a down episode about Xander Bogaerts, but there was some exciting news today. Tyler, we are now down to the wire. So I want to say that, thank you again for coming on. It was a blast to have you. Obviously, I wish the circumstances were better. I will say that. But I really was glad to have you on. But we talked about Xander Bogaerts departing to the Padres. RIP.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sad day. Want to know something sadder? I saw Don Arcillo on Twitter. He tweeted a photo of him and Xander together at the 2016 All-Star game. And he goes, "Welcome home, buddy."
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, those are 2 guys that should have been Red Sox employees for life.
Yep. 100%.
Because we screwed over Don Arcillo. We screwed over Bogaerts. And yeah, like that one hurt. That was one that really, really hurt. But we talked about that. We talked about Trey Turner, Aaron Judge back to the Yankees, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer teaming up in Queens, and a whole lot of other stuff. Got into a little bit of the Celtics at the end. So we really do appreciate you guys for listening. But from down the wire, I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm Tyler Tucker.
And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care and peace out.